Alright, welcome back to the channel everyone. Today we're doing a bit of an ASMR video. Now, why are we doing an ASMR? Because fuck you. That's why. This was actually a request by my girlfriend. We mentioned doing an ASMR video and she's like, do it. I'm like, oh, well, I've got the equipment right here and we've got some stuff that we can play with today and make some sounds with and maybe tell some stories about, so we'll see how we go. So yeah, the first thing we have today is a watch. This is a very expensive $4,000 Rolex that I bought with all my tax back money. That's not true. This cost a grand total of $5 off eBay. Was this the $5 one? I'm not sure. I think it was the $5 one off eBay, or at least you can get it for $5 on eBay, this one. And it worked for a very short amount of time, and then unfortunately it lost battery. So now, if we can see on the watch face there, it says 4:20. It's permanently set to 4:20 is the time. And let's see if we can chuck it on. I used to have this on as a very tight fit and ended up getting very uncomfortable, so I never even wore it. So then put an extra little metal band on here to make it slightly looser, but now it slides up and down, so it's like, you know, there's no perfect in between. It's either sliding up and down or it's too tight. It leaves big red marks on my wrist, so I don't exactly wear this much. It was more of just a bit of a sort of a trend back in the day, I guess. Oh, I've got watches. I'm so fucking cool. I'm like one of those fucking executive blokes. He's got millions of dollars. Wears watches. Watches all the time. I'm so fucking cool, bro. It's a little more. Does this make a sound? Time adjuster thing. No, it's like silent. Well, at least that's a nice, good mechanism. Cool, so that's the watch. Next up we have my Samsung Galaxy S2. I know we've got some quality props here today. We have my old Samsung Galaxy S2 here. And this is something I bought a while ago. When was this? This was after I had my iPhone, is when I first bought this. And let's get those sounds again. Little unboxing sounds of the back of the phone here. And it's got my Mexican SIM card in here. Interesting. Because I kept that from when I was in Mexico. I had to use a AT&T SIM card when I was over in Mexico. Because obviously they don't have any Telstra towers over there, and I think if I wanted to use Telstra, they still could make use of the towers while they're over there in Mexico, but it would have cost a heck of a lot of money in order to do that, so the best way to go was just to buy a Mexican SIM while I was over there. Yeah, that's the S2, and I've since had a lot of different phones since then, mostly Samsung Galaxies, but the issues with those is they've all died or been scratched to the point where you don't want to use them anymore. So the S2 is the only real survivor apart from my current phone, so definitely a bit of a classic here. Whenever one of my phones dies or something happens, maybe I need a second phone or something, this is the phone I always go back to, because it's just hung in there and always does work, even though it's ridiculously slow because it's quite old, given that they're up to, what are they up to now? They're up to the S10, 11, I don't fuck. There's S2, this is a few generations back. Okay, that's the phone done. Okay, next we have this, this is a calculator. this is an HP 35S scientific calculator, and this is something that I was required to buy when I was in my surveying class. They were like, in order to do this class, you're going to need to get one of these calculators, and when you buy a expensive calculator like this was pushing 100 or something fucking stupid like that. You expect it to be able to do all sorts of cool graphy things and stuff like that. It can't. The only thing it's really able to do is to be able to do these special surveying functions which are related to degrees, and like you're calculating a particular angle. You've got two sightings from two particular coordinates. What's the coordinate you're sighting to? It's those sort of calculations that this was able to do once the function had been programmed into it. It didn't even come with the function programmed into it. We had to manually code in the function that calculated the things that we wanted. It was a little bit strange, really. So that's that one. That's the HP scientific calculator. I'm not sure if we can. Oh, we can get the back off. There's just some little circle batteries in there. So that's that. Albeit I do have like a proper graphics calculator sitting in the back there somewhere, but I could have pulled that out. Oh, too late now. Okay, next up we've got a set of keys. Sorry for the quick jump there. We've had some issues with doors and stuff. So this set of keys, let's say the multi-tool, would be the most interesting thing we have here, because this is definitely not my first multi-tool. I had my dad buy a multi-tool for me, I don't know, a few years back or something like that, and I had it on me when I was going through, I'm pretty sure it was the Lonnie Airport. I was heading to Melbourne, and the airport security, of course, don't like anything sharp going onto the airplane. They don't like multi-tools or anything like that. So they confiscated that multi-tool straight from me, understandably. And so after I got back from Melbourne, I went and bought another one. It was one like this. It was just like $4 off eBay, coming straight from China. 3 weeks wait. It's worth the wait for something that's cheap. And so yeah, I had that with me when I was going through an airport again. This time I think I was going to New Zealand. And, of course, airport security took it off me. So there went my second multi-tool. And here it is. This is my third multi-tool that I've ever had. Haven't had this one confiscated just yet, so we'll see what happens going into the future. And, yeah, no, I think when I went to Mexico, I consciously... Or did I even take my keys with me? I can't remember where I had my keys in Mexico. But either way, I did not take this one into the airport as I was heading over towards Mexico. If I had had this in the American airport, Los Angeles airport that I went through, those guys would have fucking flipped, I reckon. So we didn't do that. So that was good. So that's the keys. Fucking hell. Next thing we have here is a pair of headphones. These are Philips TX2s. And funny story about these, headphones in general, is I used to have Apple headphones. Yes, can you believe it? I used to be an Apple retard. And let this here be a story of hope for anyone out there that is also an Apple retard and purchases Apple products. There is hope. You can escape from the mental trap that is buying Apple products. I had an iPhone. I think I maybe had an iPad at the time as well, and my Apple headphones that came with the phone that I've been using for so long, they did a good enough job, I thought. They broke, so I was like, okay, I've got to go and get some more headphones. And so I went to, I think it was Dick Smith and Burnie, and legit bought these Apple headphones for $50. Now let's think about that. These are pretty subpar headphones, like the Apple little earbud sort of thing. So this is before the EarPods came along, like before the AirPods, before the EarPods, the original Apple earbuds. And they're obviously not worth $50. You know, you're paying for the brand so much. And I went into that shop and I've spent 50. Fuck me. That was possibly the dumbest purchase I've ever made. But, you know, because obviously for the money, for $50, you'd be able to buy headphones much, much better than that. So, I later, what did I do? I had a go of Jess Flint's EarPods, because she bought the next version of the Apple headphones, which were the EarPods, and they, you know, weren't quite like this design, but somewhat similar, and I found they fit really, really well, and sounded quite nice, so I went and bought those. And then they eventually died, and so I wanted to go for something that was different for Apple, something that might be a bit better value for the money, and so I went for these, and I was quite surprised when they actually managed to fit in, because I know that the little stabby sort of design headphones don't really fit in my ears very well, they just come straight out. So we got 4 minutes left on the recording. Yes, these were definitely good ones to have, so there's a lesson for you. If you are also in a state of retardation where you're purchasing Apple products, just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you can get away from being a retard. It is possible. I did it, so you can do it as well. So that's the headphones, Philips headphones, and I'm thinking of getting some new headphones at some point in the future, maybe some wireless ones, but we'll see about that. Okay, next up we have a sewing kit. This one's really helpful. I've definitely had a few clothes in the past where, rather than going out and buying a new shirt, new trousers, whatever the hell it is I'm stitching up, sewing up is definitely a cost-effective solution. It's quite relaxing, obviously, to get shit sewed up. Something that my mate Wol was able to help me out with in terms of learning stitching. I didn't end up using his, professional, super nice looking neat technique. I just do my own YOLO technique these days, but that's what I've been doing, a bit of stitching every now and then, just whenever a hole appears in something. I found out that stitching up socks is not worth your time, because socks just come apart so easily. So if you get a hole in your sock, you're better off just buying a new sock. But if you get a hole in your shirt, that's, it might be worth repairing. Can you hear that? String. This obviously came with a fair bit of string of different colours, and I've used up all the good colours, so we just have the browns and pinks left. Yep. And then another thing we have here that was in the sewing kit was some needles that I bought separately. These are big, thick needles, and I was doing a stitching job on some shoes, and I found that these super thin ones that came with the sewing kit weren't really good enough for the job, so I needed to go out and buy some thicker ones. That's why I've got these ones here, which you can definitely apply a lot of force to before they start bending. So this is pretty good for going through thick stuff. So that's the sewing kit. It's very loud, some of these, for the microphone. I'll probably have to apply some compression to the audio later in the video. Can you guys hear Caro? What the fuck is she doing out there? What the fuck? That's the sewing kit. Okay, we have another minute on the recording. Hopefully that should be enough time in order to get this one done. So, we have... This is a GoPro mount. It's slightly broken. I bought this one while I was in Mexico, and I was using it while I was in the... when I went for the swimming trip, we went to swim in some hot spring. It wasn't hot springs, but it was like this really nice water parky sort of place where we're going for a swim, and you want to be able to have the camera, out of away from you and have something nice to grip onto while you're holding the camera. And so this is what I used. I don't think we can make very interesting sounds with this one. No. Yeah, it's just a mouth. Cool. Alright, we are back with the next section of the recording. For some reason this camera, it only records in 20-minute sections. After 20 minutes is up, for some reason you need to start it again. So fuck you, Nikon. Whatever you reckon, mate. So the next thing we have is I wonder what sort of, because if you spin this at the right speed, this is a fidget spinner, obviously. If you spin this at the right speed, you can get like a nice bass sort of sound. At least you can in your ears. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So if you spin this fidget spinner at, let's say, 100 rotations a second. Hang on, it's got 3 bits. So if you were to spin this at 33 rotations per second, the little knob things would go past your ear 100 times a second, 99. And what that would create is a 100 hertz sound, which is getting towards into the low bass sort of frequencies. So if we, hopefully, whoops, I accidentally hit the microphone, so that might have been a bit loud. If you, hopefully that would have created like a sort of a bassy sort of sound through onto the microphone there. I think it's pretty cool. So the special thing about this fidget spinner is the fact that it has, I'm not going to hook it up, it has a Bluetooth speaker. That's right, it has a Bluetooth speaker built in. Whereas here it is, you can just see the holes there in the fidget spinner. You can connect up your phone via Bluetooth to this fidget spinner, and it'll play tunes for you. I saw this online. I'm like, this is the most retarded thing I've ever seen, and it's only $2. I've got to buy it. I'm gonna drop myself down a bit. There we go. Okay. There's some nice ASMR chair sounds. Okay, so that's the fidget spinner. I think I played one song on it, and that's all I've ever done. I just like doing this. Yeah, that's the fidget spinner. Okay, next we have a camera, which this is what my mum used back in the day for a lot of her photography, and then she upgraded to a slightly bigger one than this. Still a little point and shoot like this. Wow, that knob is so stuck. What? This is really old. That's a knob that should be very free, but it's very stuck. Yeah, this is something that I ended up using for a lot of my shots. You'll find some of my older shots on Instagram where I did like HDR scenes or nighttime scenes. We're using this, and what I had installed on this camera was a hacked firmware that allowed you to do whatever sort of shots you want. That is, have a shutter speed of more than what this camera has by default. For example, this camera here has a default maximum shutter speed of 15 seconds, but if you have the hacked software installed on this one, you'll be able to put that up to as long as you want. You can have a shutter speed of an entire day if that's what you're doing. But I have since gotten my Nikon. My Nikon. That one right there. I'm looking around like, where's my Nikon? It's right there recording this video. Yeah. Now, if we try and turn it on. Let's do that again. It won't let me. It says change the batteries, because the batteries must be flat inside. So that's the Canon. I guess it still works, maybe? I don't know. We've got batteries in there, rechargeables. Maybe I should charge them up at some point. But no memory card. No memory card in there. So not taking any photos today. That's the camera. Okay, so the next thing we have here is this mouse. And so when I was in Dubbo, I was playing a lot of Fortnite, and so what the pros do is they use these side buttons here on the mouse, and that enables you to do extra actions like placing walls and stairs really quickly, and that's why I went ahead and bought this mouse, was to have that extra ability. I've since gone and got another mouse because I found that my hands get very cold quicker than the rest of my body. I mean, I guess, hands are extremities, so of course they're going to get a bit colder, and hence I went and bought a heated mouse, which is what's sitting there over by the computer now. And the heated mouse also has these side buttons. Maybe it's a little bit less precise than this mouse here, but it's heated, which means that my hands don't get fucking freezing, which makes it very difficult to do gaming if you have freezing hands. At least it does for me. So that's why I went and got a mouse that was a replacement for this one. It's got DPI control, and then of course your wheel and regular left and right mouse click. You good, Seba? You fucking right, mate. So that's the mouse. Okay, so the next one, this is a bit of a throwback from childhood. This is V8 Supercars. Back in the day, I was really into racing cars, V8 Supercars. I think my uncle gave me this. Damn, now this is throwing me back. Okay, my uncle gave me this little race car, little V8 Supercar, and it's of Garth Tander. He was a dude that was racing in V8 Supercars. He was racing initially for Valvoline, but then he changed to the Holden Racing Team, I believe. Holden Racing Team? I think so, anyway. Yeah, so I first got this car. This is an old one. What is that, a Commodore VX? Older Commodore, anyway. And that's what first got me into V8 Supercars, and so I then ended up, buying like magazines of V8 Supercars and going to Simmons Plains and watching all the events on TV. And so yeah, this was from back when he was in Garth Tander was in the Valvoline team, but then he went on to, what Commodore is this? Is this a VE? Commodore VE? I'm not sure. It's one of the newer Commodores, and this is the team that he was in later on, which is the Toll Holden Racing Team. I'm pretty sure that's what this car was. Unfortunately, the spoiler has broken off. It was obviously attached on there not very well. The spoiler on this one seems to be nice and sturdily attached, but where is this one here? Not so much. That's okay. It's still, nice and detailed and runs well. I guess it doesn't have one of those actions where you go, where it sort of pushes itself forward. It's just a little model. But I'm one of the guys that apparently goes out and spends money on overpriced little merch things like this, which all goes to the fucking executives of V8 Supercars. I don't really watch those anymore, but I definitely used to back in the day, so that's why I have these models. So yeah, that's the V8 Supercar models. I'm running out of space to throw shit on my bed. Okay, next up we have a very exciting thing. It's a pen. Never before seen. A guy clicking a pen. Those kids back in high school that are always clicking their pen, they have a future in ASMR videos. Can we get a close-up on this one? That's probably very loud. So that's my pen. Cool story, Rob. Alright, so this next one is a remote for my drone, for my DJI drone. This, for some reason, you can buy, I think you can buy a DJI drone, the Spark that I have, without the controller. And so you connect the drone directly to your phone. And because your phone doesn't have powered aerial shit like this, you can only get a very limited range on your drone. And so, yeah, I don't know why anyone would do that, so that's why, of course, I went and got this and controller, so I can actually fly my drone further than 20 meters and not lose signal. It still does lose signal, but not for a longer distance. It's got these little clippy things to hold in your phone while you're controlling the drone. So that's the controller. I'm going to sit it down on the side, I think. Next up, exciting things. This is just as exciting as the pen. A razor. I use this to shave. Cool story. Extra cool story. Always shave your nuts, fellas. This is important. I don't have any cool stories related to this. Fuck. Next we have a belt. And I used to not wear belts. Back in the day, I saw all the cool dudes walking around with their pants hanging low. All the swag lords. And I'm like, I want to be like them. I'm fucking cool too, aren't I? I can walk around with my pants half down. So I never had a belt. So this was a revolutionary purchase, believe it or not, when I finally went out and bought a belt. So, yeah. I remember one time where I definitely could have made use of this. I climbed up Mount Wellington and I wore some fairly loose fitting jeans, which was fucking stupid. And so I had with me a skateboard with its trucks taken off that I was using as a snowboard up on Mount Wellington when the snow was there. And I was walking the entire walk up and down Mount Wellington with one hand holding my snowboard thing, and the other hand holding my pants up. Quality use of hand resources. You could have just gone out and bought a $10 belt. Fucking dumbass. Okay, what the fuck? Okay, this is a screwdriver set. This is going to make a bit of a noise. That bloke flew up right in my face. And I haven't really used this for much, but I bought it thinking it would be useful for something at some point. I'm sure it will be. I think I have used it for a couple of things in the past, but it's got this little extender arm thing, and all these little attachments you can chuck into. Fuck, this is loud, some of these things. All these little attachments you can chuck into the screwdriver. No interesting stories related to this one because, as I said, I've barely even used it, so yeah, that's the thing. But it does have this nice little pop-up mechanism. You can see if you close the door here, the little clippy attachment end bits, they sort of slide down. Okay, next up we have a ratchet sound. Is that fucking annoying? So I have actually made a decent amount of use of this one because I used it a lot for my drone. When I was taking the nuts off of that in order to replace the props and different things, I was definitely using this a lot to get all that off. So ratchet screwdriver thing comes in a lot of handy. This next one is a gift from the EPA in New South Wales. The people I work for there in Dubbo. It's a thingy. You clip it on to your pants, I think, something like that, and then you can attach your keys onto this little keyring thing here. And so then once it's attached on, you can pull your keys out, unlock some shit, and then it'll just retract straight back in. That's the idea of this one. Yeah, thanks for that, Dubbo people. Now we also have here a name badge. This is from the IGA. This is where I first had my job, first ever job. And so it's magnetic, so you put one side in front of your shirt and then you put the other one behind, and yeah, that's how that one works. Yeah, I spent 2 years in total working for those guys, and it was good to have the experience there. Met some cool people there, so that was IGA. Yeah, made a bit of cash on the way. Chit chuck on the resume, handy. Now we also have a bit of money here. I don't mean to be showing off here, but I've got cash. I've got cash in the bank, boy. $10 in New Zealand dollars. That's about $7 in Australian dollars, I think. Is that the conversion rate? I'm not too sure. But I've got $10 New Zealand dollars, which I brought back home from New Zealand because I was like, might as well bring home some money, right? Looks pretty cool. It's got some chick. Who the fuck are you? Kate Shepherd is her name. Kate Shepherd, who is the governor of New Zealand. Don't know. And then on the other side here we have a bird. A wio. Is that how you pronounce that? WHIO. Seems to be some native bird to New Zealand. Aotearoa. Interesting. It's nice looking notes. Maybe a little bit nicer than Australian ones, I'm not sure. Very similar to Australian notes anyway. So that's New Zealand one. Then we also have here El Banco de México, 50 pesos. 50 pesos. Y esto también viene de otro país, de México, obviamente. Usé mucho las monedas de México, por ejemplo, en el autobús. El autobús, un viaje corto en un autobús en Cuernavaca, por lo menos, costaba 8 pesos. 8 pesos. Y pues, para eso, yo usé las monedas, las coins, las monedas, y no los billetes. So yeah, 5 pesos. This is worth in Australian. How much is it worth in Australian? Not much. $4? $3 or $4, I think this is. $3 or $4. And about $7. So I'm fucking stacked, boy. Next up we have how much time? Fuck me, these 20 minutes go by quick. Okay, we're back and we've only got 12 minutes left on the SD card. SD card's going to fill up very soon, probably. So we'll see how we go. This one here is... Wow, this is bent. Some sunglasses. Now, because I am an expert buyer, I purchased these from the UK. Never been to the UK, but they came from the UK for some reason. This was the best place to buy cheap sunnies. The mirror sunnies. Just watch this fucking swag, boy. They cost $4. came all the way from the UK. And as you can tell by the mirror, you're looking at your reflection, you're seeing how fucking small you are in your reflection, and that I'm an absolute boss. Yeah, I've got so much swag, especially considering I've got so many scratches on these cheap-ass $4 glasses. So get on my level, I've got swag, boy. Next up we have a webcam. I use this for my Minecraft stream recently. This cost, I think, $5, something small like that, and it delivers a very mediocre video quality. But considering this was the cheapest webcam that you could buy on eBay, you can't be expecting too much more. At least it actually works, unlike the $4 webcam I bought for my brother that came from eBay that didn't even work. So this one actually works. Yeah. I do have another webcam sitting in my cupboard. I'm not even sure if it works, but I used to use that webcam a lot. I think my dad bought it for myself and my brother, so we could Skype each other back in the day. I haven't used it in ages, obviously, but definitely something we made use of back in the day. Now, this next one is a portable speaker. This is I think I saw my mate using one of these Signet portable speakers. I'm like, that's amazing. You can go louder than the built-in speaker on your phone. And so I went and bought this, and I use this a lot for just like cruising around in the bush and just pumping tunes like back in the day, pumping Dynamite by Tiger Cruise. We all light it up like it's dynamite. Yeah, classics. And the wires are sticking out of this one because I think there was some sort of issue with connections. And I got annoyed, so I decided to pull it apart and try and take the connection out to actually make sure the audio signal was not getting wrecked. But I think the audio signal was actually an issue with either my phone or the cable and not the speaker itself. So that's why this is like this. Might try and get it working at some point. Play some tunes for it, see what happens. So that's the Signet portable speaker. Not many left. We have a PS4 controller. This PS4 controller is the only one that I've ever had for my PS4. I have never bought a second one for split screen because I've generally been doing single player gaming. I've been playing a lot of GTA 5 with this. Still waiting for GTA 6 as always. And yeah, definitely lots of gaming. And I make use of the Control Freak in order to improve my aim. Or at least I did when I was playing Modern Warfare. What the fuck was? No, it was a Black Ops. I don't know, one of the Call of Duties. And finally, I always keep a cheese grater in my room because I'm always grating cheese in my room for my pasta. That's not true, I just kept this from the kitchen. Just thought it might make some nice sounds. I don't use this to grate my cheese anymore because I buy pre-grated the mozzarella stuff you get from the frozen or the cheese section in Woolies. It's not frozen, but I freeze it. Cool story, bro. And that's it in terms of items. Now we're going to finish this one off with some sound effects that might help soothe you with some ASMR. I've seen some ASMR people doing a sort of a sort of sound effect. Apparently that triggers some people into having some special ASMR tingles. So we're gonna try that. Your mum's gay. Yeah, dad's gay. And also, you're gay. I fuck's thumping back there? And also, it might be helpful if I did some soothing screams, soothing metal screams. We're all about soothing vibes here on this channel. Now, hopefully that's put you into a state of wanting to fall asleep or whatever it is you're searching for in this video. Finally, we're going to finish with a story about what I've been doing with some 3D prints. Now, my mate Wal has been making use of his 3D printer that he has. He's been printing out all sorts of cool stuff. It was interesting going over there and looking at some of the prints he's made. He's made like little flexible animal sort of things and some other tools. A headphone stand. That's what I was going to ask him about, whether I could get him to make a headphone stand for me, because it'd be quite handy for setting up my headphones, because that's something that I do a lot. I'm constantly moving to and fro from the computer, always having my headphones, on or off, like taking them off, because I'm always listening to music whenever I'm at the computer, so maybe a headphone stand would be good. But no, the one that I was going to talk about was having this topographic map. It was really cool. I saw this thing online about having a topographical map, and having like a DM, a digital elevation model, like a model of the landscape, showing the hills and the valleys, and the ability to 3D print that would look pretty cool. Like you choose like a hill or a mountain or a valley or a sea cliffs that you quite like, and then you can print that out in 3 dimensions, and then maybe go ahead and paint it. Paint the ocean and the trees, the beaches, or whatever there's the features within the landscape that you're printing out. Sounds pretty cool. I would be interested in seeing that, but that's something that I'm opening up to you guys now. What do you think would be cool 3D printed? What about this? This could easily be 3D printed. This is not fucking real. This is fake. There's some fake shit right here. What could we 3D printed? That's, there's so many applications. I've had some thoughts. I've got some secret processes, secret developments in the making of cool things that are going to be 3D printed, which I can't yet release to the public, because I'm going to paint it and I'm going to make billions and billions and billions. No one builds 3D print stuff like I do, believe me. I have the best prints. Now, were you expecting some Donald Trump ASMR today? I didn't fucking think so. That's all we have for today, I think. Cool. I'll leave you farewell, and I'll give you one last fidget spin, and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, cool. Okay, you're ready for a fidget spin. This is going to be extreme. We'll see how long this one lasts. My timer's on 1:25. Let's see how long we can go this for. I'm going to go from 1:20. Stopped on 55, so it just went for 25 seconds. Now, I'm sure that if you lubricated your fidget spinner, you'll be able to go for longer than 25 seconds, but that's it. So that's it. Thanks for watching the video. I'm sure that you watched every single part of it, and definitely not skipped to the very end just to see what the fuck happened at the end. And I'll catch you guys later.